If you want to see the waste in maintenance, look at the amount of time that the craft people have to go back to the shop.
Oh, absolutely. Find the right part.
Get instruction. This isn't quite right. I don't understand this lock and tag and pulling. It is enormous, the amount of waste that's there. And I see a handheld CMMS system being a catalyst to driving out that waste. I've been a part of teams that have changed reliability cultures from reactive to proactive in a matter of months. It can happen.
It can.
The vast majority of people are still living in a reactive, reactively, and there's a price to be paid for that that's pretty big.
Perfect. All right. So building an efficient maintenance team is a top priority for our maintenance managers. Now, implementing a maintenance system or a CMMS that your team will actually use is also great ways to start increasing your productivity of your team. Now, if anyone knows about improving maintenance and productivity, it's Joe. So Joe, you have about 30 years of experience as a manufacturing leader. You've been a plant manager, an author, and everything in between. And it's so great to have you here today. Joe, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's exciting to be here and to talk about reliability and maintenance.
And Joe, I'm Sarah. So I know we've met as well, but I'm a maintenance software implementation consultant here at MaintainX. And we're here to start talking about, what's the digital maintenance system? What are we looking for and how do we help our clients kind of pick the right system? So why don't we get right into it?
Yeah, a CMMS system, most managers, plant managers understand the value of having a historian, some place to keep track of KPIs, to measure progress in the business, and understand that. Challenge with a CMMS system is really the transition to a new CMMS system or transition from using paper files or Excel files, and that transition scares most people. It's got a culture there that is used to paper, and you're going to maybe a handheld. What kind of training does it take? What kind of expenses does it take? Hey, we're running around with our hair on fire right now. How am I going to take this transition on for a year or 6 months? And this is where I think MaintainX stands out.
And Joe, you say that it's obvious for our clients, why a maintenance system or a CMMS is important, but if in your own words, why do you believe, that's important for creating a productive environment for the teams? Because not all the clients or not everybody believes that they need a maintenance system. So what would you answer to those type of clients?
You have the current state in your plant right now, your current state of your reliability, your current uptime, your current cost. If you want to improve that, a system like a CMMS or MaintainX's CMMS provides the historian or data to problem solve. How do you problem solve? How are you going to improve something when you don't know what problem that you have? What's your mean time between failure? How often is the equipment falling apart? How often are you maintaining it now? Okay. Where are most of your expenses going? Where is most of your unplanned downtime targeting? A lot of times, if you're just going off what you remember what happened yesterday. You don't remember what happened 3 months ago. A big fault of a lot of companies is they root cause everything, which sounds great. But at the end of the year, if your problems are always lubrication and you're chasing every downtime event that happened that is not lubrication, they may be once in 5-year events, once in 20-year events. If you're chasing and root causing those, using the opportunity to make strategic changes in your business. And that's what a CMMS system can do and say, hey, we conquer lubrication, we conquer motor failures. That's 80% of our problem at our plant. Let's keep focused on that. Let's monitor PM compliance on lubes, PM compliance on motors, and that's how you can make a strategic change by focusing on the few. And having a historian that takes the bias, the recency bias out of that
Yeah.
equation is paramount.
So if I hear you correctly, Joe, what you're saying is they're just trends that you can't see on pen and paper.
Well, they're most most maintenance downtime events are highly emotional. People
Yes.
get excited when the money machine shuts down. And so you
Correct.
remember those events, and you're just biased towards those events. And you can't, what a CMMS system allows you to do is step back to see the forest from the trees and say, hey, 9 out of 10 of our problems are over here with lubrication. And I'm using lubrication as an example, or motors as an example.
A good example.
Those are good examples from
Great
my
example.
history. So it allows you to step back and use data to focus your efforts and then to track progress against those efforts. So for example, say, it's very common for plants to have 50% PM compliance. Yeah. So, okay, having a CMMS, you're not going to go from 50 to 100 on Monday. But if we go from 50 to 60 next week and 60 to 62, that's how a CMMS can make you feel good that you're progressing on the right metric.
When you're picking a maintenance system now, say, your team that has a maintenance system, but they're just not using it. They're telling you, hey, Joe, it's taking more time for us to enter data in it than it is to actually do the job. What are the features that you would be looking out for in a CMMS or a maintenance system to make sure that your techs will actually end up using it at the end of the day?
Yeah, you want it to be intuitive. And there's so many new modern systems like MaintainX that are, very simple, very basic amount of training that people can pick it up and understand it. It's very important for the craftsman to understand what you're trying to do with the CMMS system. Not that it's just information is just being recorded just to go in some filing cabinet that nobody's going to pay attention to.
Correct.
Craftsmen want equipment to run well. And if they can understand the linkage between them entering data and problem solving, things work well. So you got to explain to people why they're doing things, not just do it. If I think they're going from a paper system that they've known for 15 years to a computer system, I got to learn something new. What are you going to do with it? If you're not going to do anything new with it, why am I learning this?
Yeah.
That's frustrating to anybody, not just a craftsman. So often in these transitions to a newer technology, we discount the culture effect and helping people understand why. And I think that's critical to a transition of a CMMS system. It's a culture change. You're changing their environment and what they're required to do. And it can be a lot easier once you're on the other side of that curve. I think, in this day and age, it's easier transition because almost every single person in the culture that we're trying to give this new tool, they have their phone in their pocket. So to navigating, things were different, 20 years ago when we were first trying to get out mobile CMMS systems. They were clunky, and it took twice as long to do the same amount of work. And when you don't see the fruits of that labor and the equipment's not running well, and we're not doing any more reliability work, we're just repairing things when they're broken. It's frustrating. But today, the technology has made it so simple that I think it's not too hard of a sell. That said, if you could instantly, blink your eyes and be from a Excel-based system or a paper system or a legacy CMMS from 5 years ago, that jump to what systems like MaintainX has. It's an easy sell to see the transition, but the transition's what's hard.
It's the key. I'm a big proponent of, I think, whenever you explain to somebody why you're doing something, you always get kind of their buy-in. So when you're trying to explain why to someone they should use a platform, what data or what key points would you show them afterwards that you'd be looking out for to show them that you've actually improved their uptime? How are those data points that you can get from these applications? Can you then show them that this is improving our maintenance operations?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I always like to start off with cost, and so you'd show a before and after and say, hey, look what our costs are doing. Look at the throughput of the facility. Those are things, we're trying to create a viable business here. So, if we can create a viable business that secures jobs more, that helps the community out. So I like to show financials. Then you show uptime, you show cost. Also, you can show, hey, PM compliance. Say, hey, 90 days ago, we were at 50% PM compliance, and now we're at 75 and we're climbing. And so you could show through metrics that it's improving. But also, I like to use specific examples of, if I'm in a meeting in front of people, we've just deployed MaintainX and we're maybe 3-4 months in. I would say, hey, has anybody been out there to the hot mill? Remember out at the hot mill, we had 10 lubrication leaks, and now there's none.
Yeah.
The system has allowed us, look at that is different. And our uptime went from 85% to 92% during that time period. Show them tangible things on the equipment. The culture, these are hands-on people. Sometimes a PowerPoint chart doesn't resonate with them. So yes, you mentioned the data, but that resonates with engineer types, management types, but talk about the equipment. Hey, has anybody been out there on that equipment? You notice we usually have, 40 trouble calls on the hot mill a month. The last month we had 18. And people, that'll resonate with them. So bring that down to a specific piece of equipment that there has been an improvement, and that resonates. And then they can connect the dots with what they see. Yes, that is cleaner, that I do go out to the hot mill less on an unplanned basis. Oh, and now the metrics make sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And what about times? You mentioned cost, and they both are kind of linked, A lot of your team sometimes will have done overtime to stay behind and help repair a machine that's down because it's needed for production, right? So would you say you were tracking their time too? Would you say that was an important factor to show them part of that culture change?
Oh yeah. Where are we investing our time? How much of it is, just reactive and frustrating work? I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. A craftsperson doesn't like doing emergency work.
Oh no, they don't like getting
bothered. You're chasing down parts. You don't know how to lock and tag the equipment out. It's in an unusual state. You got safety concerns. You got pressures on you. You can't do a good quality job. You're rushed. And then every 15 minutes, the plant manager saying, "You ready yet? You ready yet? You ready to start? How much longer is it going to be?" People people went into the crafts because they like keeping the equipment in good shape. They like fixed equipment, and they like to see it run well.
Yes. So they like taking their time to do the job.
Yeah, they like it. It's not about wasting time. It's about their time being efficient. Like, hey, I'm improving the machine. I'm maintaining the machine, not the machine was abused. I knew this was going to fail a month ago. It failed. I told you 5 times. And now I got to fix it. And one of the reasons that I've retired and started consulting is it doesn't have to be this way. So often it's Christmas Day, it's the day before Thanksgiving, and then equipment breaks. It's Friday night, and you were going to take your family camping. You were going to go on vacation. And hey, we need you this Saturday and Sunday to fix this. The chaos that takes place in maintenance organizations does not have to be. And that's why I have a passion for reliability and a passion for tools like MaintainX to assist in creating a reliability culture, because I've seen it. I've been a part of teams that have changed reliability cultures from reactive to proactive in a matter of months. It can happen.
It can.
The vast majority of people are still living in a reactive, reactively. And there's a price to be paid for that. That's pretty big. And I think it's extremely important in this day and age with the number of craftspeople that are in the world, and people that are going into crafts. It's hard to hire a mechanic or electrician. So the ones you have, you don't want to be wasting their time. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah,
we want
absolutely.
to make them as efficient as possible. And they really love problem solving. Not doing all this reactive maintenance and, that's extremely inefficient. You don't have the right parts, you don't have the right procedures, and you don't have the right coordination to take that and be 10, 20 times more efficient with the work. Then those people can get involved in problem solving. They can increase their skills and become maybe a loop tech, a vibration tech, an eye tech, and just really neat leading edge stuff. If you want to see the waste in maintenance, look at the amount of time that the craft people have to go back to the shop.
Oh, absolutely. Find the
Or
right
go back
part.
to get instruction. This isn't quite right. I don't understand this lock and tag and pulling. It is enormous, the amount of waste that's there. And I see a
Great potential.
handheld CMMS system being a catalyst to driving out that waste. It is enormous. It's
Absolutely.
people estimated at 50, 60% of the craftsman's time is not doing the work. I've seen higher than that. I've seen wrench times where efficiencies, people out there on the job, 10, 15% is common.
Yep.
So at 85% of the time, they're doing waste. And I think MaintainX is a part of that solution, especially on safety. Safety is immediately goes to the top of the the decision, in priority. And I think there's so many answers you can get instantly. Say, here's how this equipment should be locked and tagged. Here's the top 4 hazards. Here was the last time it was maintained. Here's what it's supposed to look like. And that's very easily adapted.
I agree. Yeah, I very much agree with your vision there. Now, we've talked about features on the CMMS, how to improve, productivity in your team. We talked about safety. My question to you now is, what is the biggest worry? And I think I know the answer, what you'll say, but what's your biggest, worry when you're changing a CMMS? When you're onboarding a new one, or you're changing or you're going for a solution, what's the main worry that all manufacturing sites commonly share, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is very easy. And it's transition. It's all about the transition. Everybody in the maintenance space is busy. And
Yeah.
asking them to do an extra hour of work a day for the next, 3 months or something like that, it's like, oh my gosh. And the history of deploying new software systems in manufacturing plants is all bad. Hey, we can deploy this. It'll take 3 months. It won't take anybody's time. And,
And it takes 3 years.
yeah, then 3 years later, you're working on it, and everybody's pounding their head, and then you end up shoving in a system because, hey, we got to get this done. Let's just shove it in, and then it's more work. It's not user friendly. We can't get data out of it. Nobody likes it, but it's what we've got. So transition is everything. I really believe that technology has advanced enough to make transitions easy. That's what I've talked to you guys at MaintainX a lot. The cost, it hits the cost of your maintenance department. It hits the throughput of your facility. It hits quality, it's safety. There's very few levers inside of a factory. Actually, I don't know of any that are as powerful as reliability. And this, the CMMS is the cornerstone of a reliability program at a plant. It's a historian. It's where you capture all learnings, pass them on to the other shifts and other people. It's what stimulates the problem solving. I couldn't imagine running a maintenance department or a plant without a very rock solid CMMS system. And MaintainX has that. And with being mobile, that just opens up.
Cherry on the top.
Just opens it up. It's so much simpler. It's intuitive. People can, see reports very easily, automatically generated. So how easy is it to get data out of it? But yeah, it's all about the transition.
Yeah, I agree. And, Joe, it's kind of final question here. When we look at some of the clients that we've been implementing at MaintainX now for multiple different types of industries, couple of common fears kind of seem to come back at all time. And one of those is the data gathering. When you have nothing and you have to start with a CMMS, when you fundamentally know that it's going to help you down the road, but you don't have the time to gather the data or the equipment list that it takes to get started. In a couple of words, what would you say they should focus on in gathering that data to kind of alleviate and lower that fear that clients have sometimes on the time that it would take to gather the equipment list or the location list that they would need to bring into a CMMS?
Yeah, I would start with critical assets. So what are the assets at your plant that are the bottlenecks? You sit down around a table and everybody will agree, hey, these are our trouble assets, these 5. If we win on these 5, we get good systems in, good history, good PMs, good equipment maintenance plan, good predictive maintenance. On these 5, we win. So focus on those, get some momentum from that, and then establish some cadence towards adding other assets. But it starts with asset criticality. Which ones are causing you the most problems and that are frequent? There's a process to determine asset criticality, not the subject for this discussion, but turn that into math. You take the criticality and multiply it by or you determine that from the severity and the frequency, and you can determine what to work on. Focus your CMMS at the start on things that make an impact. Don't try to eat the whole elephant. If you got 75 assets and you work on, you kind of deploy all 75 at once, you got this big, massive effort where people aren't going to see the gains from that right away. So part of culture change is getting quick wins and communicating those quick wins. And then from that momentum, accelerate the deployment across all assets.
Perfect. So starting slow to basically see the bigger picture down the road.
Yeah, not just start slow, but start on your critical assets. Don't start where it's the easiest, like, maintenance of your drinking fountains. Make it something that it will make a difference in your facility, because that's what a CMMS system is designed to do, is to help you organize your problem solving, organize your equipment maintenance plan to and to track progress.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. That was amazing. Now make sure to check out, for everyone that's listening to us right now, make sure to check out Joe's YouTube channel. It's under Joe Kuhn. And again, I'm Sarah. I'm from MaintainX. So Joe, thank you so much for talking to me today. We are a mobile maintenance management app that your team can carry out and try out for free. So feel free to check the details in the description below as well. Thank you so much, Joe.
All right. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.